The Clean Air Act, July 1st, 1964. Section 1. This act may be cited as the Clean Air Act. That's the short title. Section 2. Interpretation. Affected premises means any premises on which there are industrial works, the operation of which is, in the opinion of an inspector, likely to result in the discharge of smoke or fumes or gases or dust into the air. Best practicable means where used with respect to the provision or the prevention of the escape or discharge of noxious and offensive gases, or to the rendering of such gases where discharged harmless or inoffensive, as reference not only to the provision and efficient maintenance of appliances adequate for preventing such escape or discharge, or for rendering such gases where discharged harmless or inoffensive, but also to the manner in which such appliances are used and to the proper supervision by the owner of any operation in which such gases are evolved, and in relation to the foregoing, practicable means reasonably practicable, having regard, amongst other things, to local conditions and circumstances, to the financial implications, and to the current state of technical knowledge. Central Health Committee means the Central Health Committee established under the Public Health Act. Dust includes grit. Industrial works includes any still, melting pot, or any other plant, whether similar to the foregoing or not, used for any industrial or trade purposes, and also any incinerator used for or in connection with any such purposes. Inspector means an inspector appointed under Section 4. Noxious or offensive gas means any of the gases, fumes or dust specified from time to time in the schedule, and any noxious emanation whatsoever, whether similar to the foregoing or not, from any affected premises. Owner includes any lessee or occupier of any affected premises. Section 3. Administration and expenses. Subsection 1. Subject to the provisions of Section 4, it shall be the duty of the Central Health Committee to carry into effect the provisions of this Act. Subsection 2. Any expenses properly incurred in carrying into effect the provisions of this Act shall be paid out of monies provided for the purpose in estimates of revenue and expenditure of the island. Section 4. Appointments of inspectors. Subsection 1. The minister may appoint such members of inspectors as he considers necessary for carrying into effect the provisions of this Act. Subsection 2. The name of every person appointed as inspector shall be published in the Gazette. Powers and duties of inspectors. That's Section 5. Subsection 1. An inspector, on production of his authority, if so required, may enter any affected premises at any time while work is being carried on there, or while there is any discharge of smoke or fumes or gases or dust into the air from any part of such premises, and may inspect and examine such premises or any part thereof, and may make such inquiries and make such tests and take such samples of any smoke, of any substance, smoke, fumes, gas, or dust, as he considers necessary or proper for the performance of his duties. Subsection 2. The owner of every affected premises, his agents, and every person found therein shall afford to every inspector all necessary facilities for entry. So they must allow the inspector to enter for entry, inspection, examination, testing, and sampling in pursuance of this act, and shall furnish him with such information as he may reasonably require. This act applies to industrial premises, for example, bauxite companies. Alright, to continue. Every owner of any affected premises in which such facilities are not afforded, or such information is not furnished to an inspector as required by this section, or in which an inspector is obstructed in the execution of his duty under this act, and every person willfully obstructing an inspector in the execution of his duty under this act shall be guilty of an offense under this act. Section 6. Duty of owners to use best practicable means for preventing the escape of noxious gas, etc. Subsection 1. Subject to the provisions of this act, the owner of every affected premises shall use the best practicable means for A. Preventing the escape of any noxious or offensive gas, and B. Preventing the discharge of any such gas into the air, and C. Rendering such gas where discharged harmless or inoffensive, and an inspector may inquire whether in any affected premises the best practicable means have been adopted for carrying out the provisions of this subsection, and shall submit a report thereon to the Central Health Committee. Subsection 2. Where it appears to the committee that such means have not been adopted, the committee may, by order published in the Gazette, require the owner of such premises to adopt within reasonable time, not being less than 6 weeks from the date of the publication of the order, as shall be specified in the order, such means as the committee may consider necessary for carrying out the provisions of subsection 1, and may, by the said order, limit the amount of any noxious or offensive gas which may be permitted to escape or to be discharged from such premises into the air. Alright, so if the committee finds your premises not adhering to this law, if you are allowing gases to escape, then you have noticed that within 6 weeks you must correct the situation to limit the amount of noxious or offensive gas which may be permitted to escape in the air. Subsection 3. Before making any such order, the committee shall give to the owner and to any other person interested notice of this intention to make the order and the date on which it proposes to publish the order in the Gazette. So you have 6 weeks from the publication. Alright, so subsection 4. A notice required to be given by the committee under this section may be served by a registered post or by delivering it to or at the premises of the person to whom it is addressed, or where addressed to the owner or occupier of the premises by delivering it, or a copy thereof to some person on the premises, or if there is no person on the premises who can be served, by fixing it on some conspicuous part of the premises. Subsection 5. Subject to the provisions of Section 7, any owner of or any affected premises who contravenes the provisions of any order made under subsection 2 shall be guilty of an offense against this act. Section 7. Appeals against order of committee. Any person aggrieved by any order of the committee under Section 6 may, within 1 month of the publication of such order in the Gazette, appeal to a judge in chambers, who shall give such directions in the matter as he shall think proper, including a direction as to the cost of the appeal, and the order of the court of the judge shall be final and conclusive and not subject to any further right of appeal, provided that a judge in chambers may, if he thinks the interest of justice so requires, extend the time of appealing under this section, notwithstanding the time for appealing has elapsed. B. A person who has appealed to a judge in chambers as aforesaid shall not be liable to any proceedings for an offense under subsection 5 of section 6 until such appeal has been heard and determined or has been abandoned. Section 8. Power of Minister to vary list of gases. Subsection 1. The Minister, after consultation with the Central Health Committee, may from time to time by order add or vary the provisions in the schedule. Subsection 2. Every order made under this section shall be subject to negative resolution. Section 9. Penalty for persons guilty of an offense against this act. Any person guilty of an offense against this act shall be liable on summary conviction in the resident magistrate court of the district in which the offense was committed to a fine not exceeding $200, or in default of payment, to imprisonment with hard labor for any term not exceeding 3 months, and in the case of a continuing offense, to a further fine not exceeding $10 for every day during which the offense continues, and in default of payment, to a further term of imprisonment with hard labor not exceeding 2 months. So you have a choice. You pay $200 or spend 3 months in prison. And if you continue the offense, you pay $10 every day that the offense continues. If you don't pay the $10 per day, then you go to prison for 2 months. Anyway, continue. Schedule. List of noxious or offensive gases. Fumes or dust emanating from any works for the production of alumina. Fumes or dust from any cement works. Fumes or dust from any lime works. Gas containing any sulfur compound emanating from any petroleum works. Fumes, vapor or gas from any electrical generating station. Fumes or dust from any gypsum work. Ash, dust or soot from any sugar factory. Right, so that was the Clean Air Act.